What's up, guys? How we doing? Thanks for watching us. Thanks for supporting us.
Yes.
And we have more road break for you for this week. And we're going to start actually with part 2 of what we did last, which it was the top 10 of the best Summerslam matches of all time in our criteria.
Yes.
Hope that all of you have had a good week. And thank you for all the support that you guys gave for the videos from SummerSlam.
Yes.
Predictions. And hope you guys like our Facebook Live.
I hope you did. Yes, and thank you for supporting this as well. We had a little trouble with Facebook there, so we had to go to YouTube for that.
And we're gonna have to use YouTube a little more in case that Facebook is still acting bullshit.
Yes.
Which it might be. So we don't know yet for sure. So as we're recording this, we're hoping that Facebook is starting to post the videos again, because we have 2 or 3 videos that you guys haven't seen yet, and we're gonna try to troubleshoot the situations. But going back, we're gonna go back to the countdown.
Yes.
And we left off on number 6, which was Brock Lesnar against Kurt Angle, SummerSlam 2003, and now we're gonna start on 5, which is
Bret Hart versus Undertaker, SummerSlam 1997.
SummerSlam 1997. Bullshit SummerSlam. Other than the main event.
For me, yes, I will agree with that. But this SummerSlam match had so much importance to it. And, you know, the development in it, and also all the effects it had afterwards.
Yes. Yeah. This match actually started feuds for like 2 or 3 years after what happened after that, and it actually became relevant in the 2000s and in the later 2000s.
Yes.
Because of all the repercussions that like this match had. And for me, it's a little hard to watch because the Undertaker loses the title at the end. That was like his second title reign, and that came to an end. Pretty hype match, you will say, right? Bret the Hitman Hart going against the Undertaker.
For those of you who don't know the match, it's very good, but there's a lot of backstory to it because of the tension between Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. In the end, what happens is Shawn Michaels becomes special guest referee, but there's a stipulation behind it because there's so much animosity
going on between them,
both of them. Shawn Michaels must make the 3 count. If he does not, for Bret the Hitman Hart, and there's, you know, something going on there, then Shawn Michaels could not wrestle within the United States ever again. That is the stipulation. And Bret Hart, throughout the match, I think Michaels, throughout the match, is kind of calling it even. But towards the end, I know that there's some shit going down, and Bret ends up spitting in Michaels' face.
Yes.
He has a chair. Shawn has a chair.
Yes.
And Bret ends up spitting in Michaels' face, and he goes to take a swing at Bret Hart and ends up clocking the Undertaker. And Bret Hart pins Taker, and Michaels has to. You see him. He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to do the 3 count.
He's like 1, 2.
He goes like,
and then he hits the 3, and then Undertaker goes after Shawn.
And that started the rivalry.
It did.
Between Shawn and the Undertaker.
That set up Hell in a Cell.
Even before that, the Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Ground Zero, because the next day on Monday Night Raw, the whole first segment is the Undertaker calling out Shawn Michaels, and that was their first encounter. That was their first fight, and then Hell in a Cell, and then Royal Rumble '98 for the title, the casket match. And Shawn gets injured and all of that. And then when they retake the feud for 2009 WrestleMania.
Yeah. So if you think about that, they don't have that match. That rivalry never begins. Shawn never gets injured. We don't have WrestleMania 25.
Which one of the
greatest matches of all time.
And that was all mainly because of that match. And also Bret Hart became champion, and that kind of made Shawn Michaels again able to wrestle, and then that will lead to what? Survivor Series 97, and that was the Montreal Screwjob, and all of that.
Yep.
So the match itself had a lot of meaning to it.
Yes.
Because if you think about it also, The Undertaker won the title from Psycho Sid with the help of Bret the Hitman Hart,
At
because he
WrestleMania
did
13.
he did the thing with the ropes.
Yep.
He bounced the ropes. Psycho Sid gets all knocked out. Tombstone done. But who was on commentary? Shawn Michaels. Yeah. And I remember Bret the Hitman Hart coming out and be like, "You're a piece of shit. You should be fighting."
I remember him saying your pussyfoot
Yeah.
injury,
Yeah. So.
Because you're not really injured.
Yeah, because he lost his smile and everything. You're not really injured. That's why he relinquished the title. And then the Undertaker became the champion. And then they were able to mix both storylines into one. And once again, that will lead to like Hell in a Cell, which was the first Hell in a Cell, and for many people is one of the best. And also, what happened in Hell in a Cell? Who came out?
Kane.
Kane. So
yep, the debut of Kane.
That was, to me, like you said, it opened up so many doors,
so many avenues.
Yeah, so many avenues in one particular match. So that's for us is the number 5 spot.
Yep.
And we're gonna move to number 4.
Another one with a lot of them here coming up, Bret Hart. And
they might say that Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania. Bret Hart will be Mr. SummerSlam.
Definitely. Because number 4 here is Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 1991.
Well, what can you say about Mr. Perfect? One of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
No doubt.
And he was at that time untouchable.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best IC champs of all time. I don't think he ever was a big challenger for the WWE Championship, but he was given the IC champion as, I would say, a consolation prize.
For me,
and he was the one that carried that part of the division. You know, the mid card. He was the main guy in the mid card.
This is only my opinion, but in the early '90s, if you wanted to watch good wrestling, you tuned into the mid card at that time, because that's when great wrestling took place, because you had Bret Hart, you had the Mr. Perfects, people like that, British Bulldog. You had people like that in the mid card. Yes.
Texas Tornado.
So you had people like that fighting for the Intercontinental Championship, and you knew whoever had that title would at some point be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
So, at that time, that title was very prestigious. It could main event at some point. If you wanted to watch the better wrestling, you tuned into the Intercontinental Championship matches. And it always was that way. Because these two tore the house down at SummerSlam. One of the best matches I've ever seen. And these two always had spectacular chemistry.
With each other, yes.
Because they had a great match at King of the Ring. It just...
they were able to put on great matches, and they were different between matches, and they kept telling a good story.
Yes.
They had a variety of matches, and each one of them was a different one. So that, I think, and the big storyline, it was Bret the Hitman Hart. He was trying to be this sensational singles guy because he was splitting up from the Hart Foundation against the guy, which was Mr. Perfect, holding the belt. And Bret the Hitman Hart becomes one of the first guys that ever kicked out from the Perfectplex. Even in the match is taking place, you walk us through it.
Well, throughout the entire match, this was when Mr. Perfect still had the coach. Perfect never needed anybody to me. Always very good on the mic, good promo. I always loved him when he was with Bobby the Brain Heenan.
That was better.
I always enjoyed him and Bobby the Brain Heenan together. They had great chemistry. But whenever you had him with somebody, it was fine. But he could walk alone because he was so great.
He was Mr. Perfect. That is in the name.
He was incredible.
Yeah.
But the man was absolutely fantastic in the ring. His in-ring ability was absolutely great, and I would have put the title on him at some point.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he did have... Well, it was not...
Politics with Hogan.
Hogan was absolutely bullshit. I will agree with you there. But he did start to have back problems.
He had a lot of injuries.
He did.
He started to have a lot of injuries back in that time.
So, I know that was certainly one point, an issue. But, with Perfect, the whole match with Bret Hart was spectacular. Both of them were technicians in the ring, back and forth contest. Um, you know, they both hit each other with all of their move sets, different things. I loved in every match with Bret Hart where Michaels' move where he goes in the turnbuckle, goes upside down. That's classic Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart's was where he goes into the
Right
turnbuckle,
to the right
sternum
to the,
first.
right to the
Bang.
turnbuckle. Yeah.
I loved when he would do that every time in every match. There was a spot where he would make it a point to do that in every match, and it looked so ferocious every time he did that. He did that in this match too. He took a spot on the outside where he got hit into the ring posts where they had the guardrail before instead of the barricade. Mm-hmm. But where the point where he got set up for the perfect plex and kicked out of it, Gorilla Monsoon did a really good job of selling that. He didn't have the fingers held, everything was very nicely done.
It's great. Yeah, I really love that because he sets it up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my God, the match is," and then Bobby the Brain Heenan says, "It's done. It's over. It's over," because he sets it up for the perfect flex. He hits the move, and we go 1, 2, and oh my God, and there's all this shock. And I think Bobby the Brain Heenan says, or I think it's Bobby the Brain Heenan, no one's ever kicked out from the perfect flex. So it's great. I feel that those are the kind of things that we miss from wrestling nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Be seeing things like that, and then how Bret is able to, from that move, transition to actually the sharpshooter.
Oh, to me, you don't see a lot of it like that anymore. People who can
transition
moves. Like submission moves.
Yeah.
I've seen it rarely. Angle was able to do it very well. Chris Benoit.
Yep.
Another one who could do it in a split second.
I will say Jericho.
Jericho, yes.
Jericho is another one that can pull out the walls of Jericho out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I will say that. And Bret Hart is able to pull out, I think, is he doing the figure 4 or something?
He's on the ground, and I believe...
He's trying to do the figure 4, right?
He's on the ground.
Or the Boston Crab.
I think Perfect had him in some sort of submission. They were on the ground.
Yeah.
And Bret Hart actually... I think it was after they had done a double clothesline.
Yes.
And Bret Hart, they're laying on the ground, and he just starts putting him into the sharpshooter on the ground and turns him over.
Yes.
And stands up.
Yes.
And the fact that you can do that while sitting on the ground and just do it on the ground and turn over and able to stand up and put him into the sharpshooter like that. Bret Hart, to me, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, no doubt.
I will say either him, Kurt Angle, or Benoit, the best technicians of all time. The best technicians of all time. Technical wrestling, pure technical wrestling. Yeah. And hear the word, guys. Pure technical wrestling. It will be Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, and Benoit. Either one of the three.
I would agree.
And then, at the end, Bret Hart becomes the new IC champion.
Yep.
And that will be one of the biggest points in his career. And the starting point for what Bret the Hitman Hart, got to be.
Yes.
He became to be, won the championship many times. And all his singles guy, main event push, started in this match, SummerSlam 1991, with the Mr. Perfect. So that was number 4. And number 3 still has Bret Hart in it. And that is one of that happens the year after that.
Yes.
Because Bret, I think he is able to hold the title until then.
Yes.
And is the match number 3 spot, SummerSlam 1992, United Kingdom, Bret the Hitman Hart, IC champion, defending against the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
This match has so much meaning to it.
Significance.
It does. For the IC title, in particular, because it main evented.
A main event SummerSlam.
You don't see that anymore. The IC title has no meaning anymore, and it really makes me upset.
It sucks to be Shinsuke Nakamura.
It does.
Because he's a good wrestler. He's a legit wrestler, and they put just a strap on him. He doesn't do anything with it.
It's very upsetting to see all the championships. Really, to me,
the majority, yes.
most of the, I think all of them really, to me, just don't mean anything.
Yeah.
They don't mean anything. You know, the fact that they care more about the 24/7 title than they do all the titles combined is really upsetting to me. So, but back then, you know, the mid-card titles, you know, had prestige. Whether it was, you know, the WCW United States Championship, you know, in WCW, or the IC title in WWE, or the WWF at the time,
WWE.
they had prestige. And especially here in this match, it had a lot of prestige because it main evented the fucking pay-per-view.
Yes.
And especially with, you know, you have your boy, you know, Davey Boy Smith coming in.
The hometown hero.
You could not hear a single thing.
Hometown hero.
That whole match, try and watch that match. It's a great match. No doubt, great match. Both guys do a phenomenal job. But good lord, you could not hear a fucking thing because that crowd is so loud.
And Bret Hart did the right thing for the business, and he let the British Bulldog win, and he became one of the few people that actually wins in their hometown or in their country in this case. And once again, we've said this many times on Robert. This match has appeared many times throughout our show. Bret Hart gave the advice to Vince, and he said, "Why don't our match main events?" Because we know that like Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior was okay on paper, but in execution was very weak.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Ultimate Warrior, once again, I'm sorry, I know you're with up in the heavens, but you were not a great wrestler. So
Never was.
never was. It was more pumped than anything.
Yeah.
It was more like
More hype.
the song hype. It was like Goldberg, 3 seconds and done.
Yep.
When he had to pull out a long match, he got lost.
The only one, again, I always say this, the only one I really give him credit for is Hogan in 6.
So,
WrestleMania 6, that's the only one I usually give him credit for. Other people give him credit for other matches. I don't.
you know which one I will say, and I know we're going off topic a little bit, but we'll go back to it. But I will say that the one with Rick Rude.
Okay, the steel cage.
Yes, because Ravishing Rick Rude was another great guy, and he helped him a lot. He
Yeah.
carried that match by himself. But going back again, this match has so much meaning again, also because they were related. The
Yeah.
British Bulldog and Bret Hart were related.
Mm.
So that on its own, a title main event in a pay-per-view, and the Hitman Hart is able to pass the torch to the British Bulldog. It's a great story. To me, once again, I'll say the ending is a little bullshit. Ryan and I have discussed this for hours. That to me should have been something different. But in the end, the significance of this match is even relevant till this day.
No doubt.
Many times when people talk about the greatest matches of SummerSlam, this match will be brought up. Mainly because of what those two guys were able to tell. And how the crowd was involved and invested. Because the British fans are loud. They're like so into everything that takes place. They're very passionate about what they believe in. And the fact that like their hometown hero was able to win. There you go. You made money that night.
To me, to this day, still, they need to bring a, you know,
Pay-per-views
WrestleMania
To the UK.
to the UK.
Yeah,
They do.
we're not even from the UK.
We're not.
But we run into so many British people throughout SummerSlam weekend.
WrestleMania weekend. You mean.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, my bad.
We were at
Summer
WrestleMania this past year. We ran into so many UK people, so many wrestling fans from there.
Passionate, and they were like, "Oh, we've been here, we've been there, we've been this, we've been there." They were in the NXT UK pay-per-view. They were telling us about it.
So many legit fans bring a WrestleMania their way because they deserve it.
They deserve it even more than so many cities that they've got in WrestleMania in the past years. Give one WrestleMania to the UK.
Yes.
If you guys want to start that hashtag, we're more than welcome. We'll support that.
No doubt.
Just because these guys are so passionate about it, and the fact that they've only been able to have one pay-per-view in their country is very bullshit.
Very.
Laughable. Because you know that you will be making money in attendance.
Oh, yeah.
Just for doing that. So anyway, we're going to go back to the countdown. See, we didn't go that far off topic. and we go to the number 3 spot.
That was the number 3 spot.
My bad. Oh, Jesus.
We're at
Number 2.
Number 2. We're
at least it's not Bret Hart.
Yes.
At least it's not Bret Hart.
Number 2. We're at TLC. TLC SummerSlam 2000. And my oh my, good lord.
SummerSlam 2000.
This match, to me, is another one that has so much meaning to it. Simply because it brought together 3 tag teams that would go on to make so much history in this business.
Yep.
You know, to start from the beginning, this match started at WrestleMania 17 in a triangle ladder match. Problem with that match is it didn't stop with ladders. Tables got involved, ladders, and chairs. So, once we hit SummerSlam, I believe it was Mick Foley.
Yeah, but he was the commissioner, yes.
Who decided we're going to have a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
And that was because the Dudleys were like the tables.
Yep.
Then Hardys,
ladders,
and then Edge and Christian started doing concerto.
Yep.
So they needed chairs. So it's like, why don't we combine every single team and their specialty in one match?
Yep.
And we got TLC.
And it was a beautiful idea. And those 3 teams tore the house down. You go back to that SummerSlam. It's a good SummerSlam, I will say. But that was the match that tore the entire house down and was the match that stood out the most.
And stole the show. Yeah, the match that stood out the most. And it ended up being the best match.
Yes.
Even better than the main event.
Yes.
Even way better than the main event.
Yes.
At that time, those 3 teams were putting the best match of the night. They were putting the best match every single pay-per-view, mainly because the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, I don't know if they were talking behind scenes, but like every night they were main eventing those shows. And I remember seeing in the documentaries about it, it's like, well, we had to compete against The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, The Undertaker. So these guys told stories with their own bodies.
Yeah. And they literally, I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, Jeff Hardy swantoning off fucking ladders, 20 feet in the air. You know, I believe it was TLC 2 when he took the spear.
Yes, TLC 2. That's WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean,
the triangle match, I think, is WrestleMania 16.
So, yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, this one still, I mean, they went above and beyond doing shit that was just unbelievable.
Yes.
All the shit that they did throughout the match, you know.
Chairs involved again. Once again, near. They were about to get the titles. Somebody will come and push it. So it was great. It was great, and they keep us on the edge of our feet, or our seat. And I will say, it was just great to see how like Baba will be like, "What up?" and get the Devon, get the tables, and they will say about the tables, and they will go through the table, and then the chairs at the end, Edge and Christian, and then the Hardys also using the ladders. They will get beat up with the ladders. So they gave us so much ideas. Mm-hmm. So for people like us that play the game, because that was like what Ryan will say all the time that we play the game. Let's get toys. Let's get toys, and that was like the chairs, that was the tables, that was the ladders, and all of that. And they were, and see, in those days, and the stipulation actually meant that the wrestlers would use the toy. It's like whatever prop they had in the ring.
Yeah, today,
and they use it.
Today you don't see that. When it's first of all, now think about this. You need to understand something. A TLC match is a match when something is hanging above the ring, okay?
Titles or a contract.
Something needs to be that's the stipulation. Something is hanging above the ring. You have to climb a ladder and grab it. Okay, the tables and the chairs are simply there
Props.
to use.
Yes.
Okay? You don't necessarily need to use them. You're supposed to, but you need to grab whatever above the ring. Today, WWE has brainwashed you into thinking a TLC match is simply a match where it's pinfall or submission and there's fucking tables, ladders, and chairs around for you to use. No.
Before it used to be you had to climb and get whatever was hanging above the ring.
That's what pisses me off.
That like they changed the rules to like their own PG era or whatever, and they don't let you use anymore. Like the chairs, the tables, and like I said, the only way to win that match was you had to grab whatever was hanging above the ring. Even Stone Cold and King of the Ring, he had to grab the contract and he couldn't.
Yeah.
Because they kept lifting it up and lifting it up even more. But
that was against the McMahons, right?
yes, it was against Vince and Shane. It's King of the Ring 1999. Yeah. That was the main event.
Yep.
And till this day, and we're going a little bit off topic, we don't know who did that. See, that's one of the unsolved mysteries ever in WWE, WWF. We don't know who kept raising the briefcase for Stone Cold not to be able to grab. So, once again, this match had so much relevance because it was that good that they're like, let's do it for a third time.
Well, they did it. This was the first. Then they did it again at 17 TLC 2.
Yeah.
Which was even better.
Yes.
You know, I don't know how you duplicate this. Then they did it again.
And they actually duplicate and surpass it.
You know, and then they did it a third time, which I think was on a SmackDown.
Yes. Yes.
But then they had 4 teams involved in that one because
yeah.
the champions at that time were Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
And they ended up retaining.
Yeah.
That's when Benoit got injured.
Yeah, that's when he got injured and he was out for like a year, almost a year, 9 months or something like that. Yeah. So to me, the fact that like it also expand WWE's ideas, you know, to like different types of matches, combine more teams, it was great. And see how like during the TLC 2, that somebody will come up for each team. Like Spike Dudley will come out for the Dudleys, right. Lita came for the Hardys, and Rhino came out for Edge and Christian.
Yep.
So it actually helped to get other people involved in the match also. And of course they will go through a table, they will go through like chair shots and everything. So to me, that's why it has the number 2 spot in our countdown. I'm still thinking 3, my bad. And I think that besides that match, the number 1 match that we chose surpassed this because of the storytelling.
Yeah.
Not for the wrestling quality, I will say, but the storytelling is a little bit better. And that is?
Number 1.
We chose this.
We chose this because of the storytelling and because of what they did afterwards.
Yes.
And it is Shawn Michaels taking on Triple H in his return match in that SummerSlam 2002.
Ascension match.
Yes. No doubt to me, I don't know that a lot of people were expecting much in this match. Mm-hmm. They had not seen Shawn Michaels for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to see him come back and put on such a quality match was fantastic.
Now, even like I think that the deal was that match.
Yes.
Itself. And they were gonna play it out, see how he feels, how things turn out, and that led actually to 7 more years of Shawn Michaels. 7, 8 years of Shawn Michaels.
Well, you saw him in that match though. You watch him in that match, and he had not lost a freaking step. The man did the elbow. He did Sweet Chin Music. He jived off the top of the turnbuckle through a table. He
did everything. All these moves.
Busted himself open. Everything. It was so spectacular, and you saw that he was still the same Shawn Michaels.
Yes. It was one of the biggest returns of all time.
No doubt.
And the story behind the match, it was really great.
Oh, yeah.
Because he started out as DX, and then Triple H turned heel against him, and then they were kind of like mending the situation, and then Shawn Michaels got attacked from the back, and Triple H is like, oh my God, Shawn, we're going to figure out who it was, and everything, and then the cameras catch like an image of somebody, and then once they reveal the complete image of who it was Triple H, who attacked Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
And you had like, and see, that's the thing that WWE doesn't do anymore, and WWF or the early WWE used to do, is like build up, because this took place I think in early June, when the attack took place and everything, and then you have a satellite interview with Shawn Michaels, and you see that like he's healing from the injuries and everything, and he goes, Hunter,
I know it was you.
I know it was you, and the doctor said that I will be clear. How about SummerSlam?
But that's the thing. I agree with you. They don't build. There's no storytelling anymore. It's just a bunch of kind of matches that are congealed together with no real story to it.
Yes.
And to me,
before they hype it, they made you want to see the match.
That's the thing.
They waited. They give you just seats.
That's the
sneak
thing.
peeks.
Back then, you were invested in the product. Now, today, you have nothing to be invested in.
No.
NXT, I think you get invested in because
you have time. They give you.
Triple H knows what he's doing there.
Yeah.
Now with the main roster, what the hell are you invested in? There's nothing to be invested in.
Exactly. And then, for example, Ryan and I were talking while we were watching SummerSlam, and I said to him, when the match of Trish Stratus and Charlotte took place, I'm like, where's the video package? I said that. And Ryan goes, there's no video package because there's no build-up. How can you make a video package out of 2 weeks? And I was thinking to myself, it's true. Because WWE don't take the time anymore to give us a long story to tell. They don't give you, like I said, sneak peeks. Every week, something. The 1 week, Shawn Michaels will have an interview via satellite. The next week, Triple H will be in the ring talking about the match. The next week, you will see Shawn Michaels from the Titantron, and he'll be taunting to Triple H or something like that. So you will be wanting to see those two go at it. Now WWE, what they do, they set up the match, and then the next week they're already fighting in a tag.
That's the thing.
In a tag match. They give the matches out already.
Yeah, the thing is, the matches are already forgotten because they're already in the ring together.
Yeah.
They're already fighting each other before the match is taking place.
Or WWE will do the contract signing, and you remember those stipulations that if you touch before the match, both of you will be suspended. There was more to it.
Yeah.
Rather than just like a match. Oh yeah, you and me go against each other. Let's put it together. Okay, let's go. For that reason, I feel that this has so much meaning just on the one fact that Shawn Michaels comes back. But then they had a long rivalry after that because seeing the success that this match had, then Shawn Michaels gets into the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels actually wins the first Elimination Chamber. And who's the last guy that he eliminates? It's Triple H. And there's a beautiful spot when Shawn Michaels kicks out of the pedigree. And then switching music, and done. And Shawn Michaels! Jim Ross
was fantastic.
When he will give me, to me, I will put Jim Ross just like an edge of what Mauro Ranallo is. Just because he will get behind somebody and Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels. Is to me that's my favorite Survivor Series of all time.
I would agree.
Because just how the story about Shawn Michaels becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion, it was just great. And then on top of that, Ryan, we have 2 more years of stories because they went for the title, going on and off. We have the TLC.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, 3 stages of hell.
3 stages of hell.
3 stages of hell in Armageddon.
Last man standing.
Last man standing, and then we have WrestleMania. WrestleMania with Benoit included.
Yeah.
Because that is Shawn Michaels.
There was a Hell in a Cell too.
And then after that,
okay,
it ends in Hell in a Cell Bad Blood.
Okay.
But even in the storyline with Benoit, Shawn Michaels goes, "Oh, we've been having this for years, and I'm this close to finishing." So imagine that, guys. This whole thing started right here in SummerSlam 02. And to see what a great match was, they had toys, and of course, the ending is a little bullshit. It's a small package, I think it is.
Again,
it's a counter.
Again, it is sort of a small package. It's a roll up.
It's a reversal. Yeah, it's a roll up. It's a reversal move. But then Triple H goes with a sledgehammer.
But to me, again, he doesn't like when somebody wins with a roll up. To me, it's to make Triple H look strong, to make him look legit, and I'm fine with that. In the end, he looks strong anyway because when Michaels is celebrating,
he went with his sledgehammer.
He fucking nails him in the back.
In the back, and he strategically uses the back because that was the injury.
Yep.
That was the injury. That's when Shawn Michaels was coming out of that injury, the back.
Because what was beautiful is Jim Ross is yelling, "You son of a bitch," in the microphone, and you see Triple H just laughing as he's walking out, all bloody. That was beautiful.
Those were the days where like Triple H was also legit, because like he knew when to bleed and he will sell. Yep, and to me, Triple H is one of the best heels of all time. He, to me, personified what a heel used to be, or always needs to be. A guy that is always bitter.
No doubt.
And will do whatever it takes to at least get something out of every match.
Yes.
If he didn't win, at least he'll beat the shit out of the other guy and he will leave.
Yes.
So
I
to
would
me,
agree.
that match is beautiful. Like Ryan said, Shawn Michaels does the elbow, switch in music, every single move in his arsenal, he hits. And on top of that, they have toys and everything because it's an Ascension match. So, Ascension match, for the people that don't know, is a match that actually is not registered. It doesn't have any account in it. It's not it's not
It's because WWE doesn't want to be liable for what happens
Yes.
to the superstars,
Yep.
essentially.
Shawn Michaels, years later, had another Ascension match against Chris Jericho. But that night, Shawn Michaels beat the shit out of Jericho. But in the end of that night, which happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, is Night of Champions.
That I'm not sure.
Is Night of Champions
That's when I was bullshit.
2008.
That's when I
Chris
was having.
Jericho.
That's when I was having all my shit.
Chris Jericho becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then that led into another rivalry with Shawn Michaels that actually produced Jericho's one of his most favorite matches. That is Shawn Michaels against him in the ladder match. So I want to say the fact that like we had to see the best of Shawn Michaels after this match at SummerSlam, because to me my favorite Shawn Michaels is after SummerSlam.
And I agree.
He had his best runs after SummerSlam.
I agree.
Because if you tell me Shawn Michaels legit before SummerSlam, I will say to me it's very questionable. I mean, he was really good in the matches in WrestleMania 10 with Razor Ramon.
That was all Michaels, though.
That was Michaels. The 96 with Bret Hart.
Yep.
97 Bret Hart, Screwjob, whatever. So that was to me, Mankind.
Oh, Mankind.
SummerSlam. See, that's another mentions that we're going to have right
That
here.
was in your house.
It was in your house.
That was in your house. That was an in your house pay per view. That was a great freaking match.
Because that produced a different side of Shawn Michaels.
That was fantastic.
And that was Mick Foley in his early matches in WWF.
Good. So good.
We will say one of the down matches on SummerSlam, it was Shawn Michaels against Bader. SummerSlam 96.
That
for the
one.
World Heavyweight Championship. Because Bader was supposed to win.
Very bullshit that they never treated Vader properly.
He was good. Bader was good.
That's when Shawn was bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, Shawn didn't want to drop the title to Vader. That's when Shawn was being bullshit.
And he said, I will never drop the title to this piece of shit. So, that's what I want to say. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the countdown. And if you have your own countdown of matches, you can tell us. Or if you have your
own favorite match.
Your own favorite matches that you love from SummerSlam, in these early years, later years, you let us know. We will talk about them. We want to thank you again for the support that you've given to the SummerSlam video, for the live that we did. And like I said, for now, we're going to give you the links of the YouTube videos. We're going to post these videos on YouTube unless Facebook is willing to collaborate and let us use the Facebook, again, the page, so we can put our videos again. Because I know you guys are supporting, and we're very thankful for that.
Yes.
So we're going to have more episodes coming, and we want to thank you, all of you. Take it easy, guys. Celebrate Road Break, and have a great week. Ada!